At the time of recording this, it feels like I haven't posted a video in ages because sometimes I plan for the future. That made me seem like I'm psychic. I see when I've got lots of assessments, all that sort of thing for uni, and I'll pre-record videos so that I can post them in, keep maintaining that 1 week or one post a week. And it feels like it's been a couple weeks since I last posted a video. And it probably has. I don't even know when the last time that I recorded a video was. But I'm doing one today, and enough of my yapping, because I want to talk about active listening. I briefly mentioned it in the last video about how to improve your emotional intelligence. And active listening is a really crucial part to be able to improve your emotional intelligence. And that's because active listening involves not just listening to the other person's words, but also listening to their tone of voice, their body language, and just how they're saying everything that they're saying. It allows you to see the whole picture, and it tells you a lot more than just listening to the word and the word only. That's something I never really noticed until I started looking at Vin Jiang's content. And he brings it up a lot because active listening, it's a skill that is lost. And it has been lost, in my opinion, because of, phones and iPads and computers and all of these sorts of things. People can have conversations. I mentioned this last video. People can have conversations by just texting on 3 different platforms, whether it be Instagram, Snapchat, and messages. And they could have 5 different conversations on 3 different platforms. So it's almost prioritized and trained ourselves to only read into the word that is being said rather than the whole picture through body language, through listening to their tone of voice, looking at their body language, and also the words that are being said. So in saying that, diving into active listening, the first part is listening to the word. Because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes what people say is exactly what they mean. So the word that they use, they've used it for a specific reason. There's not really much else to say other than that for that point. So then after you look at that, you also look at their tone of voice. Now, Vin is a lot more qualified to teach you about that because he's been working on his communication skills for a lot longer than I have. But once you're able to pick up on, it could be like an inflection point at the end of a sentence or even the end of a word. And that tells people, it almost makes you question whether they actually believe what they're saying or not. And that's something I learned from Vanessa Van Edwards and her content. So you really need to hone in and try to listen for vocal cues, which might give off a different meaning to what is actually being said. And for example, like I said, it could be the inflection point. It could be even slight stuttering. People can stutter for many different reasons, whether it's because they're a bit nervous, they're not confident. It could be different, like a language barrier. It could be a whole range of things. But for me, I think it's really important to take all of this into account and then make a decision. And I shouldn't even say make a decision. It's just allowing you to have like a bird's eye view of the situation, and that allows you to act accordingly. Now, this skill, it will take time to develop. It does take time, especially because we've trained ourselves to only focus on the words, and that's how, like, through texting and all that yap. Then trying to go from 0 to 100 in person is so much harder. And that's a false expectation that I put on myself, because I thought, you look at people like Chris Williamson, Vanessa Van Edwards, Vin Jang, Stephen Bartlett, all these people that you see are able to communicate with other people so well. It's almost like you compare yourself to them and you make a direct comparison. And I found that I was saying, well, if they can do it, why can't I? Which I agree with. That is a very good thing, and it's a good mindset to have. But I'd make that comparison of them currently to me currently. And we're at different levels. And if you're at different levels, well then you should have no right, and you shouldn't even be allowed to compare yourself to someone if you're at a different level. It's just unfair to you, and it's just not good. So you look into the words, then the vocal cues of active listening. Now, the third thing is body language. Body language can tell you so much about what someone is thinking. Like, even me scratching my head then could be me interpreting or being a bit nervous, which I am. I'm a bit nervous because it feels a bit foreign that I haven't recorded a video in such a long time. But the longer you talk, the more you get comfortable, and then the better you become. And then this is all just a process of being familiar with talking into a camera. Anyways, I went on a bit of a tangent there. Back to body language. Body language is key, because body language will tell you something that their words or even their tone of voice haven't told you. If someone's got a very open body language, most people would perceive that to be, they're open for communication. They're open to connect with people. Whereas on the other hand, if someone's got a very closed off body language and they're very shut off, just say that I'm talking to someone who's standing right here and I've crossed my arms, my body's not even facing them, and I'm like, and that this person is actually looking at me, speaking to me, and I don't want a piece of it. I could say and use words that sound like, without context, I could use words that might seem like, yeah, you know what? This guy's present and he's in the conversation. But then my body language is telling you something completely different. And that's why I think it's very important to pick up on these sorts of things. A big one for me is, I noticed I was doing it with myself, and that's if someone's asked me something, and then I've thought, like, for example, are you enjoying soccer at the moment? And I go, yeah, I'm loving it so much. I just loving it so much. Did you pick up on it? As much as I was saying that I loved it, and then I thought that I did a pretty good job of trying to convince you that I was saying that I loved it, my head was shaking like this the whole time, which is telling you that maybe you shouldn't believe what my words are actually saying. Now, sometimes I think there's a bit of nuance, especially with like shaking your head like this and saying something, because I could enjoy something quite a lot, like soccer, for example, and still shake my head, even though there's nothing that I actually dislike about it, because sometimes I feel like I'm almost in disbelief. It's almost like I'm shaking my head in disbelief. Whether that's because someone's asked me the question or I don't know. I don't know. And that's just something that I've noticed. And I've picked up on it from other people as well. Another big one for me is just crossing the arms. Now, someone could be very cold. It could be cold wherever you live. And if someone's crossing their arms, yeah, they might be cold. You know, you're trying to keep yourself insulated and warm and all that sort of thing. But crossing your arms could also indicate you are just closing off everyone. And if you want to improve your active listening, you need to be able to communicate with people. You can't improve your active listening with yourself. So if you're thinking, why does no one ever want to talk to me? But you're just sitting here like this, and that's your default position. It's something that you're comfortable in. You're just like this. Arms crossed. I need to stand up a bit because you guys cannot see. You're just sitting or standing and you've got your arms crossed like that. And you're thinking, why? Why does no one ever want to talk? But you've got your arms crossed like this. Well, there might be a reason for that. And that's something that I've really tried to incorporate into my everyday life. It's just having an open body language and being able to communicate with people, looking for opportunities to improve my active listening through listening to not only their words, but how they're saying the words and how their body is acting as they say the words. So to wrap things up, the most important part that I want you to take from this video today, active listening will take time to develop. And you only develop active listening through connecting with people and going out and trying it. Because like I said a couple minutes ago, you cannot improve your active listening with yourself. You cannot improve your active listening by purely just living your life in isolation. You improve your active listening by putting yourself in situations where you can improve and you can try out listening to their words, how they're saying the words, and looking at body language. And it's only through this and this repetition that you will improve your active listening. That's all from me for this video. I hope you guys are enjoying this emotional intelligence series. I'm enjoying making these videos when I've got the time, when I make the time, I should be saying. And I'll just keep trying to chip away and produce things and make videos for you guys because like I said, I enjoy it. I really do. It's just hard. Yeah, it's just hard. I'll make another video about this. It's just hard, especially balancing everything. I don't like using the word balance. You know what? I'll save it for next video because this will extend this video out to like 20 minutes and I don't want that to happen. So wrapping things up, go out, try it. Just try to improve your active listening skills with other people. Try to read their body language and their tone of voice. and see how you go. And as always, change starts with you.